Yes, and today is 8th of March, and on the occasion of Women's Day, if a female is looking forward to become a pilot, and if their parents are watching this podcast, what advice would you like to give her?
Yes, I would like to say hello everyone. Welcome to India's number one pilot podcast, in which we talk about experiences from airline pilot as well as the trainee pilot, student pilot, etc. And that's how you learn from it as well as you can make your informed decisions. And we are on episode number 45 already, and we are missing one of our hosts today as he
Yes.
has commenced his airline training. Nilay.
Yes, so he's gone to Delhi for his airline training. So
Yes.
after completing CPL, after doing the TR and then getting into the airline, you start with airline training for around 6 months. So I
Yes.
guess we both are in the same phase. So he's just starting and I'm just about to complete my
Yes.
training phase.
Yes.
And as you mentioned that through this podcast we discussed experiences of an airline pilot, how to go about pilot training and stuff. So there was a point in my journey when I was about to start, right? So as you know that aviation field is completely new. Okay, I would say right now in India, according to you, how many pilots would be there?
In India, there are approximately more than 20,000 CPLs issued,
Mhm.
out of which initial 1,000 to 1,500 pilots are already retired,
Mhm.
but rest of them are, CPL holders. And first 10,000 pilots have got their ATPL
Mhm.
also. So
Yes,
you can say that there are about 15 to
20,000
18
pilots.
to
Yeah.
20,000 pilots. And those pilots, some of them are into airlines, some of them are flying as an instructor,
Mhm.
some of them are yet to get there, in the training phase, and some
Mhm.
of them are, yet to start their airline pilot journey. So that's how it is segregated. So there are considering about 800 airplanes in commercial aviation in
Mhm.
India,
Mhm.
which are currently flying. There are approximately about 7 to 8,000 pilots on the commercial airplanes, and some of them are in corporates and all. So approximately 10,000 are flying with the
Mhm.
airlines and corporates. So
Yes, so my point was like in a population of around 140 crore, only 10 to 15,000 pilots are working for an airline, right?
yes.
And if someone wants to become a pilot, there's no one there to guide them who's
Correct.
working for an airline.
Correct.
So through this podcast, we invite airline pilots. We all three as hosts are working in an airline. So it gives them a good platform to start their journey.
Correct.
Okay, and as an aspiring pilot, if you get such kind of platform where you have information regarding the steps of how to become a pilot, how is the airline industry doing right now, what are the prediction, what all new things are coming on a daily basis. So through this podcast we discuss all of those things, and in the previous episodes we did have many airline pilots who
Correct.
shared their journey. And
Correct.
if you see the journey of an airline pilot, it's a roller coaster, right? And
Correct.
it's very difficult. Nowadays, everyone has access to information, so it's relatively easier, okay? Because the only thing they have to do is they have to follow the guidance and then work on it. Okay, so every pilot has their own story of struggle, like how they made
Absolutely.
it to the airline.
Absolutely.
And once you make it to the airline, you feel like you have worked
Correct.
really
Correct.
hard
Correct.
to get to that position.
Absolutely.
And then once you are into the airline, the another journey starts as an airline pilot.
Absolutely.
So you start
yes.
as a like trainee pilot or junior first officer, then first officer, then you clear your ATPL papers and
Correct.
Viva, apply
Absolutely.
for ATPL, then captain. So there the journey starts again. Okay, so until CPL, until you get your first airline job, the journey is filled with struggles.
Correct.
Once you get into the airline, it is like living the dream.
Correct. Absolutely. Yes.
Right.
So how are you feeling at this stage of your training? Like you have just completed your ground training phase and you have completed recent simulator, right?
Yes.
So, and you are on starting with your flight training in the airline, that phase. So, how is that process going? Like,
so the process is really good. I'm loving each and every day, no matter even if I'm scheduled in the midnight. Okay, I don't mind it because this is what I have signed up for, and I don't even feel sleepy when I go for a red eye flight. But the next day I have to sleep.
Of course.
Yes, that's how it is. But I'm grateful that I have reached this part, and now the journey of airline training have started. So
how is the base training and base check? How does that
so
go?
now like we go to the airports wearing that uniform, so we have to show our AP to the security guard, and then there are so many people who look up to you when you wear that uniform, right?
Correct.
So it feels so good that okay, you're doing something so great, like
Feel satisfied.
Yes, feeling satisfied because you have worked so hard for this thing. And then the passengers, right, whoever is traveling for the first time, they see us wearing uniform, then they are like, okay sir, can we take a photo with you? And if there are kids along with their parents, they see they ask their parents, who is this guy wearing this uniform? And plus the passengers who are traveling for the first time, they think that we know everything, so they just flash their tickets with us, and then they ask, okay, where should I go? Yes, that is there. Okay, but as we wear uniform, then they think, okay, we are the only ones to guide them things. And we know everything. So we just guide them. So they have gate number written on their boarding pass, so I just guide them, okay, this is take left, right, or from there you go. Okay, so that's how it is at the airport. And then you go to the dispatch, you do your B, everything. So for the base check, so basically base check is like the first time you fly an aircraft.
Correct. Empty airplane.
Empty aircraft. Yes. So in that, so I was scheduled for my base check. So I had a flight from like Bombay airport to Ahmedabad, 9:30 p.m.
So that was as a passenger.
As a passenger to Ahmedabad, and in Ahmedabad the base check was scheduled at around 11:15. But the thing what happened is at 9:30 the flight got delayed because nowadays Mumbai has
There's
a lot of congestion, right? So most of the flights are delayed because the airport is kind of operating at an overcapacity. And by this year end, there'll be a new airport in Navi Mumbai which will be operational. First phase will be operational.
Correct.
So because of that, the flight was delayed, and I reached Ahmedabad at 11:30, and then I was delayed by 1.5 hours. So I and my friend, we were scheduled for base check. So only one of us could do their base check, and then it was time's up. We had to give the aircraft back.
Right.
So I couldn't complete my base check because of the time
you
thing.
Will do it
and now
days.
Now I'll be rescheduled for the base check. So
these things do happen in training phase, and you also know about it. I also know that how much patience is required during training phase, that when you are excited for something and then if it doesn't happen, then it really is disappointing and not quite welcoming and happy situation at that point. But yes, you have to keep your patience, and it will happen sooner or later. So it is not going to be the end. So a lot of students, sometimes think and then they feel depressed, sad that why is it not happening? But yes, these things are part of it, and you should just go with it. Like, because there are a lot of contingencies, and there are a lot of factors which are involved nowadays, because Mumbai airport was operating at over the capacity that it can really handle the number of movements, that is the departures and arrivals. So they have restricted the number of flights in a given time period, that means per hour. So because of that, there are on an average about between 45 minutes to 1 hour delay going on at Mumbai airport for most of the flights currently. And that is really taking a toll on passenger travel, and then that is inconvenience to them. But Yes, traffic controllers are doing their level best to accommodate as many movements as possible, but still, like, because of the infrastructure constraints, this problem exists. So, having said that, in base checks, what do you do exactly? Like,
So in base check, we take an empty aircraft and we do 6 takeoffs and landing.
yes,
And yeah, once we do that, we get a certificate that we have done our base training.
correct.
And then we go for SUPI, SLF, and then release. So that is going to be planned in next month. So this
Correct,
month I'll be
correct.
get done with base training.
Correct,
And
correct.
yeah, when the instructor was feeling a bit low because I couldn't complete my check, I told him it's completely all right. It's not something which was in our control. We did our best to complete the training, but it didn't happen. So that's okay.
Right.
There's next day, within a week, we'll be done with the base check.
Right. So you're like taking off and landing an empty airplane does consume like a lot of fuel,
yes.
right? And it's like so that is the reason why it is planned at those airports where there is less amount of traffic, so that the base check gets done in a comparatively lesser amount of time for every student. And so I remember my base check back in the year 2016 end. So that time it was when I did that base check. So it was in Bangalore, the old airport,
Okay.
HAL airport, where there is very less traffic out of HAL, because majority of commercial airplanes and almost all of them, they operate from Kempegowda International Airport in Bangalore. So this HAL is like in city. So we flew from Kempegowda to this HAL airport, and thereafter one of my colleague, he completed 6 takeoffs landings. After that, then I started and then took off, and then it feels really good, like you're flying the airplane for the first time at the controls, like you are flying an actual airplane, I would say. You have done a lot of simulator hours before that, so it is not something you are experiencing for the first time as an environment, but still, like, you are put in that environment in real time for the first time. So
yes.
that is a bit different, and yes, it feels really good that you're able to land the plane in like at least acceptable level of experience. So that's it feels really good. But you have already a very, very, very experienced instructor with you, so in case if there is any mistakes or anything, then he does tell you that this has to be done like this and manages. So, yeah, that's about base check.
Yes, and the simulator sessions and the actual aircraft is quite similar. There's not much difference, I would say.
Yes, of course.
It's almost the same. Only
Yep.
there are like some minute differences which we can feel when we are flying in the simulator and the actual aircraft. But it looks like, okay, this is the same thing we have been doing in the simulator.
Appearance wise, it is quite same. The thing is, sometimes feeling of the handling of airplane could be slightly different. So it is said that simulator is about 95 to 98% accurate as a real time airplane. So it does give that experience, but there could be slight variation, and because in real time wind keeps changing.
Yes.
Your winds are generally, unless they set it that way, if it is gusty, then only it keeps changing. But otherwise, in simulator it stays steady almost, and whereas in this it keeps varying, and you have to keep correcting according to that. So there is a minor difference, not really a significant difference. That's about the base check. Then
Yes, that's about the base check. And when I was traveling late night, so base checks are generally scheduled after 12
Yes.
in the so after midnight, because the traffic is less, you get your training done quickly. So I was just wondering, like,
Because
for
in base check,
yes,
there are all circuit landings need to be done.
yes,
And then if there are a lot of commercial planes coming in and this aircraft is doing
Yes,
circuit
yes.
landing, it becomes challenging for air traffic controller to control
yes.
the entire traffic. Yeah, that's
So base check mostly happens after midnight. And I was just wondering, okay, for female pilots, the parents would be worried, okay, my girl is, or my daughter is going out to fly an aircraft after midnight. So how safe is it? So you have done your base check as well. So
yes.
how do you take that thing? Like, or how did your parents feel about that?
Yes. So when we commence this flight training, that time itself, parents are kind of worried about this part that my daughter has to travel and has to go to the airport, come back in the night hours. So is it really safe? So in that case, the airlines have transport, which is pretty safe. And transport is basically cab that comes to pick you up at your residence and then take you to the airport. At places like, especially in North India, where women's safety is quite important in terms of traveling at night. So that time even there is a safety guard for women pilots as well as cabin crew. So that ensures that women is safe during travel to and from the airport. So this is during night hours between 12 to 7. If there is any travel of any woman pilot or cabin crew, then the guard along with driver is accompanied.
Okay.
So as well as there is a pepper spray in the cab itself, just in case if she thinks that her safety is getting compromised, then that is there. And these things are taken care of. So it's pretty safe, and there has not been any mishap as such, because of which parents should be really worried about this fact that whether they can travel. So when you reach the airport, since it's a public place, it's pretty safe in India. So that is not a problem at all. So when you get to the airport, and then when you are with your colleagues, like a first officer, pilot, woman pilot is there with a captain, could be male or female, doesn't matter. It is absolutely safe. Once you are in that work environment, there are certain ethics which need to be followed of the company, and those need to be abided with. So there is no chance of getting things wrong or here and there. So the safety is definitely respected in terms of women's life.
Yes, and when we speak about the layovers which you get, you fly to different places, right? So whenever you are on a layover in an unknown city or the city where you are going for the first time, so at that places, how is safety taken care?
Yes, so on a layover, if you are a captain, you are accompanied with a first officer. If you are a first officer, accompanied with captain. So generally, the transport is there for both pilots together. In some airlines, the entire pilots as well as cabin crew, the entire set of crew go to the hotel together. So when you reach there, there is a separate room allotted to each pilot, and that is how it is. So when you go there, there is a separate card, room key assured to you, as you are a part of a respective airline member, and then you proceed to your room, and that's how it is. So even cabin crew, depending on whether airline to airline, it could be either on sharing basis or on individual basis, room allocation. So for cabin crew, room allocation could be either on sharing basis or individual basis, depending on airline to airline.
And
So of course,
yeah.
if there is all female cabin crew, then only it will be on sharing basis. If there
Yes,
is a
yes.
mixture of female and male cabin crew, then it will be on individual basis. So that's how it is.
And what do you mostly do on a layover?
On a layover, so generally if it is on a minimum rest layover, in that case, go sleep, because you've already flown for a longer flight hours, and thereafter you land up there. So either you have woken up early, or you're awake the whole night, or things like that, or you're tired post flight. So either of this. So catch up on sleep depending on the time of the day. So if it is nighttime, definitely sleep the whole night. And then if it is afternoon, then maybe catch up on couple of hours of sleep, and thereafter go to the gym, and then followed by dinner. And so if that time is, buffet time, then yes, go to the buffet, then hop onto it, and then then you can proceed for your rest. So that's pretty much it looks like. And then next day get ready and go for another sector. But if in case it is slightly longer than minimum rest, in that case you can meet your friends if they are in that particular city, because in airline you will not have friends only from your area of
Yes.
where you stay, but you will have friends from all over India.
Or
So-
the globe, I would say.
Yes, I would. Yeah, absolutely. So when you go to their city, you can just message them, call them, and then they are also excited to see you. So it's a good feeling that you are traveling to various places and then catch up with them. And if you have even longer layover, which is a bit depends, it depends on airline to airline. And if you have even longer layover, like about 24 hours or more, in that case maybe you can visit places which are to be visited in that particular city. The most popular places,
Tourist
the
attractions.
attractions where you can go and maybe do some shopping, or you can go for lunch or dinner and explore their local delicacies
Yes.
and food. So
Street food.
that is street food, or you can say, or restaurant food, whatever, like.
Yes.
So that's how it pretty much looks like on a layover.
And before getting into aviation, I had friends only from Mumbai and the family friends which I had. But once I am into aviation, since I started my training back in 2019, and then I went to US and everything. So now I have friends in each and every city in India, like wherever
Correct.
the airline
Correct,
operates,
correct.
because you meet so many people along the journey. And I met Nilay also in the US, though we live just 10 minutes apart in Mumbai. Okay, I met
Yeah.
Nilay in the US, and that's
Correct.
how we became friends and then
Right.
started working together.
Right.
So yeah, aviation, like being in aviation, you won't be able to socialize with each and everyone on any special occasion, but definitely when you are on a layover or when you are visiting a city, then you can make plans
Correct,
and spend time with each other,
Absolutely.
right? And speaking about like once the part for the female pilot, okay, so we discussed about the airline part for female pilot, okay. So now parents also have this what do you say, worries or tensed about, okay, what after she gets married and stuff, right? So what she will do, will she continue the job? If she continues the job, then what all things she will have to do and stuff, because in this career, in pilot's career, the schedule is not fixed. It's not like you go out in morning 9 o'clock and you come back at 5 o'clock. So you have
Correct.
to work around 24/7.
Correct.
Okay, it's completely random. So how do you think the family life of a female pilot after marriage would look like?
Yes. So when a woman gets married, then there are different responsibilities towards in-laws as well as towards that new house and family responsibilities. So it is very important that your husband is understanding as well as your in-laws are understanding in that aspect. And considering that, definitely you can choose to get married. There is no problem. There are so many women pilots who are married, who have kids, and they are flying in airlines. So the challenge that is faced is, if once you're married, then even the timings of your flight would be different. Sometimes it could be midnight or it could be early morning. So in that time, it is important that she does give time to her rest period before flight and after the flight, which should be understood by in-laws and husband. So this is one thing. If that is taken care of, then there is absolutely no problem. Apart from that, when it comes to pregnancy and maternity, thereafter, in addition to family responsibility, there is one more responsibility of your own child, and that is you're a mother now. In that case, of course, you have to look after your infant as well as when he or she grows up, then look after them. So of course there is a requirement to allot certain time towards them. So depending on airline to airline, you can choose to be on a certain contract which will allow you to allot certain time towards your family. And that is really helpful. Like some of the airlines in India, they do promote women pilots, and they do have special contracts for women in order to allot specific and more time towards their family and children. So that's really helpful and appreciated. And yes, so this way there are many women, in about 15% of women pilots are there in Indian aviation as of today.
Yes.
And growing as the days passing by. So that is growing just because many women are getting more confident to step into this profession, as well as they are getting the support from their parents, as well as going forward from the husband, and that is making them confident to stand in this profession fearlessly.
Yes, and today is 8th of March, and on the occasion of Women's Day, if a female is looking forward to become a pilot, and if their parents are watching this podcast, what advice would you like to give her?
Yes, I would like to say that you should consider your daughter same like as your son. So she has all the potential to stand in this world proudly, and she will make you proud when she wears that uniform. And definitely, if she has all the criterias met with, and if she is willing to become a pilot, if you have those many finances to support, then you should not hesitate for her to come and start this career as a pilot. So that's my advice to them. And definitely she has to put in all her efforts in order to justify what parents have done for her. So that's how it is. And there are so many women pilots and their stories that we have heard. We have guests like Captain Nikita Tomar as well as Captain Annie Divya. So their initial struggle was quite a lot, but eventually now they stand strong in this world as a women pilot. And these are few of the role models which you can consider in order to get yourself to the point where you would like to reach.
Yes, and speaking about the role of parents, okay, so the parents might spend their life savings on pilot training.
Absolutely.
So on the students' part, it is very important that you take this very serious, okay, once your parents are spending so
Absolutely.
much hard-earned money on you. and not take it for granted and give your 100%, because if you do so, then right now as the Indian aviation market is growing,
Absolutely.
you'll definitely land up into the airline as soon as you complete your training within 1 to 2 years.
Correct. Even there was a special vacancy for women pilots for
Yes.
CPL holders as well as type-rated women pilots for one of the airline. So yes, airlines are encouraging, but it is important that everyone should give their 100% and give their level best in order to secure that position of becoming an airline pilot. So it is always challenging to start the first airline job, as we have always reiterated this, whether you are a CPL holder or you are beginning as ab initio pilot for cadet or type rated. It is important that you do your level best, maybe more than your level best, in order to secure this job. And that will definitely give you good results.
Yes, and when we speak about the competition, okay, so the competition is going to be there always. Be it pilot career, engineer, doctor, CA, any field you take, there will be competition. Even in business, there is competition. So you have to work so hard that you are ahead of your competition at each stage.
Correct.
And what I also believe is, right now, once you are done with your training and you're ready for the airline interview, you will get a chance to appear for the airline interview. And if you clear it in the first attempt only, any airline interview, let's say you're appearing for an airline in India and this is your first interview. So if you clear that interview in the first attempt, you directly are into the airline.
Correct.
And that will only happen if you have worked hard until you have completed your pilot training.
Correct.
And after that as well.
Correct.
So generally students wait until they complete their CPL and then they think, okay, then I'll join classes and prepare for the airline interview. So matter of the fact, the airline preparation or the airline interview preparation starts as soon as they start preparing for DGCA ground school.
Correct.
Okay, so that's why we now and then recommend, like, if you are joining the DGCA ground school, join the India's best DGCA ground school available, which is CNTAA. Okay, and mostly focus on the concepts, not on like how many questions you can by heart. Okay,
Absolutely.
because students now, like, to just pass the exam, they go through the question bank and they just by heart the answers and go.
Correct.
So they might not clear in the first or second, but they eventually they know all the questions which are going to ask, and then they clear it. But then when they come to the airline interview is mostly based on the conceptual questions.
Absolutely.
They won't ask you the questions which are there in the question bank.
Correct.
So at that time, most of the students get eliminated because their concepts are not clear. And airline wants someone who has concepts clear.
Absolutely.
For the technical round. And then there's also something called as communication. So when you are into the pilot training, make sure whenever you're joining a ground school, the medium of teaching is English language, because most of them, as they are familiar with the Hindi language or any regional language, they're comfortable in learning with those languages, though they know English. Okay, I'm not denying that they don't know English, but they don't practice speaking English. That's where they lack. And the other students who clear the interview, they speak in English on a daily basis. They can communicate with the interviewer like confidently and fluently, because the mode of language or the language of aviation, as we call, is English.
Correct.
You need to know English language to clear your interviews, to communicate with
Fluently,
the RT and everything.
Absolutely.
So it's not something that we need to know Shakespeare level English. We just need to know basic English.
Correct.
Like how we are talking right now.
Yes.
Like each one of
Absolutely.
us should understand what we are speaking, and what I am thinking, I am able to communicate. That is as simple as it gets.
At least aviation terminologies which we use as pilots on day-to-day basis should be known to them. So otherwise, English is a vast language and a literature, so that is definitely not expected to be known, but it is important to understand the basic language and in depth for aviation English language. Apart from that, when you talk about an airline written exams, then students who have done their flying from abroad and they are going in conventional pathway. So most of them do not study technical general subject in
Yes.
detail. So technical round does not only mean technical subject, but it does include along with technical general subject, navigation and meteorology and air regulation. But since those students have already cleared, everyone has cleared navigation, meteorology and regulation towards their CPL, but students who do their flight training from abroad, they have not cleared technical general, because of which many students do face challenge in clearing the first round of airline assessment, which is written exam. So that is the reason why it is important for those students to know that you need to study this in detail, especially jet engines, aircraft systems, which is core and heart of that airplane. So it is important to know the systems, because once you are flying that particular type of airplane, in the specific study of that airplane, it's only aircraft systems. So if that is not known in basic standards, then it becomes challenging to understand the engine parameters, its working and its operation, which is like $1 million engine. So it is important to respect its operation while you are there in a cockpit as a pilot. So that is one thing to be kept in mind for students who have CPL and have done their flight training from abroad and appearing for the CPL vacancy or maybe type-rated vacancy. So that's one thing which is important.
So would you advise the students who plan to do their training from outside India to study for technical general once they are back?
Yes, that is highly recommended, because those students, once they study technical general and then CPL subjects, but in little more depth, that is, I would say, in the depth of ATPL knowledge, if they do study, then they will be good in the airline written exams. So apart from that, it's important to know about human factors also, if they have not done it, but that's part of air regulation. So that's how it is. It needs to be studied. So these are the things which you need to know, and if you really want to know, then yes, we are there to guide you.
Yes, and once the technical and the communication, that is one aspect of the airline interview. And then we also have something called as current affairs of aviation. So what is going on right now in the aviation industry? So Airbus, what is Airbus doing?
Absolutely.
Okay, which aircraft is coming on? Okay, A321 XLR is coming. Okay, when is it going to come? Then we have Boeing. Okay, what is Boeing doing? Which aircraft are they working on? Then which are the upcoming airports? Okay, Mumbai. And then what are the new laws which are coming? Like
Correct.
there's a revision in FDTL, right? There was a revision previous, like I guess 2-3 years ago, for the medicals as well.
Correct.
Okay, so you have to stay in touch with aviation. Okay, whatever is going on in the aviation industry, you should know.
Correct.
Okay, let's say
Absolutely.
yes. So that is about the current affairs, and then you also have general knowledge, I would say, related to aviation. So for each and every SOP or each and every rules and regulations we have in aviation, there has been an incident in the past which we can relate to. Okay, so
Absolutely.
yes, so if we take the 9/11, then the Kandahar hijacking is there, then the no-show drill is also there, like
Correct.
for the aviation. So there are
Gate
certain
no-show drill.
gate no-show drill, yeah. So there are so many incidents which have happened in the past, through which the aviation is continuously emerging or implementing, and right now it is one of the safest mode of transport.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you should know. Okay, and you can always watch air crash investigations to know more about it, and you can also watch pilot podcast
Yes,
to
absolutely.
stay current with the aviation affairs, because we
Absolutely.
now and then discuss whatever new is happening in the aviation industry. So in the previous episodes, we have also discussed the Air India Cadet Pilot program as soon as it was launched. So we do discuss about the changes which are coming up in the rules and regulations. Like we discussed FTTL, then we also discussed life of a female pilot in this podcast on Women's Day occasion. Then we also have discussed the journey to the airline, like how to do your training, from where to do your training, the cost of pilot training,
Absolutely.
airline interviews, how to prepare for it, and everything. So if someone watches, or if an aspiring pilot watches our 45 episodes, he would have a huge knowledge.
Correct.
He won't be starting from scratch. He would
Absolutely.
be having experience of airline pilot in terms
Correct.
of the knowledge or the incidences, and they can learn for it, because life is too short to make all the mistakes by yourself. So you have to
Absolutely.
learn from others' mistake
Absolutely.
and grow.
Yes, absolutely.
So as you know that there are many vacancies out for various airline in the start of this year 2024. So what advice would you like to give aspiring pilots who are preparing for airline interviews?
Yes, so they should be really thorough with the knowledge part, as well as now Air India has also come up with a specific syllabus. So that syllabus is more or less about, DGCA subjects, CPL, ATPL level. Apart from that, for all the subjects, like as we discussed, navigation, meteorology, regulation, technical, general, then human performance is also added there specifically. Apart from that, technical, general, or in-depth knowledge of that. Apart from that, the when you go to transition to this multi-crew cockpit, then the displays are or all LCD or LED displays, and the functioning of these airplanes is to be done in a multi-crew cockpit, or with the crew resource management that is also introduced. So the transition to this needs to be learned when we talk about the transition to airline, and the written exams with respect to that, as well as interview, and the working of these airplanes flight controls, like fly by wire if you are appearing for any airline vacancy which is hiring for Airbus airplane, or if you are applying for a vacancy for Boeing, then you should know about the intricacies of that. Like that means what is the behavior of that airplane close to stall, like stick shaker, stick pusher, then certain warning systems, etc. So even though you are not type rated on that airplane, then these things are supposed to be known. That will boost their confidence, as well as when in an airline interview these questions are asked, you will be able to answer to them. So this is important. Apart from that, the communication, which is how you communicate in a group. So you are not the only deciding individual or member in the cockpit. Along with you in this multi-crew cockpit, you have another, if you are a captain, then another co-pilot. If you are a co-pilot, then you need to definitely, take consent from captain. So, and give your input when required, and ensure that safety is not compromised. So you should have that confidence to speak up. That will come when you know certain things really well. So these things are assessed in the airline exams, and in this particular airline cadet pilot exam also, even though you are ab initio pilot, then also it is important to know that certain basic things about the wide body and the narrow body airplanes you know about it, like fly by wire system, or what is stick shaker or stick pusher, these things. So what happens, a lot of people as a cadets, they are inquisitive whether we are going to be hired on wide body or narrow body. So this vacancy is in fact for a narrow body airplanes, and it is important to have a certain experience on these narrow body before you switch to wide body. So definitely, since if you are selected in that airline cadet pilot program of Air India, in that case, once you complete your training for CPL, followed by type rating, followed by airline training, and you start flying as a first officer, then definitely as the requirement progresses, once new airplanes arrive in India, then they will, first officers like you will be getting an opportunity to switch to wide body as a first officer. So that is going to happen in near future as things progress. If you are giving your 100% focus and dedication towards this career. So that's a ray of hope, and definitely considering multi-type of airplanes are there in Air India, they do have this kind of process of upgrades.
Yes, and as you spoke about the cockpit, okay, so most of the airlines right now they use a glass cockpit for flying. So would you recommend aspiring pilots to start their training on the glass cockpit?
Yes, if they have or they can start their training on glass cockpit, it makes things easier to transition onto this multi-crew cockpit, because things and displays are quite similar. They are not obviously same, but they are similar. Like for example, if Garmin 1000, if you were getting trained on that, then definitely you have one is the primary display, and there is another multifunction display, MFD. So this primary flight display has all primary flight instruments, which is learned in CPL study, that is pressure instruments and gyroscopic instruments, like altimeter, airspeed indicator and vertical speed indicator, followed by gyroscopic artificial horizon, heading indicator and turn and slip indicator or turn coordinator. And then in MFD, along with the navigation displays, there will be engine indicating display also. So in these multi-crew cockpit, or if you talk about Airbus A320 or even higher than that, and the Boeing 737, you have separate PFD, then ND, then there is an engine display. Engine display will be separate, which will be there in the center, so that both pilots can look at it, whereas PFD and ND is separate for first officer and for captain. So that's how it is. So it definitely eases the transition. So if you have an opportunity and if you can afford that flight training on that particular airplane, then why not? You can go for it. So I have done my training on 6-pack conventional instrument, so that there was a transition which you take some time initially to understand how things go, because that's like a dial displays.
Yes.
Here it is a digital display. So
and plus there are scans also, so you are used to scanning the 6 specs differently, and your
scans
also
are pretty much the same, because location of instruments is not, if artificial horizon is in the center, it will remain in center from Cessna 152 to Airbus 380. It is not going to change the location from center to extreme right or something. The only thing, the presentation is different. Like how it is, how does it look? Instead of reading altitude from altimeter, you have a digital readout. That's the difference. Otherwise, location is more or less pretty same. Yeah. Plus, in conventional, there is no navigation display that you see as such. So during training, navigation is with the help of dead reckoning. That is, you know your position at the beginning, then know what is the track you're following and what's the ground speed you have. Accordingly, find out your position.
And look at the map and fly.
Look at the map and fly in visual flight rules,
Mm.
in instrument flight rules. Then you have other means of knowing position. So in Garmin, those things become easier because you have a particular map. You can see nearest airports. You have a lot of functions in Garmin navigation display. So that is definitely easier.
Yes, so if you are an aspiring pilot and you're planning to start on your flight training, we would advise you to start it on the glass cockpit if possible. If not, then you can combine the conventional cockpit and glass cockpit, so get experiences on
Correct.
both type of the cockpit. And if you have any questions related to flight training from India or abroad, or would like to do your training abroad, you can definitely let us know in the comment section, or you can reach out to us directly on our Instagram. We'll definitely make sure that we'll guide you to the best of our ability.
I hope we have solved some of your queries. If you still have any queries or questions about pilot training or any kind of doubts about of parents or anything like that, then feel free to reach out to us in the comment section, and we will do our level best to reply to as many as we can or to your comments. Thank you so much for watching and wish you a very happy Women's Day. Have a great day ahead. Bye-bye.
Yes, thank you for watching the pilot podcast till now. We are grateful to share information which we have to you, and happy Women's Day to all the female aspiring pilots, and we hope to see you in the next one, and happy flying. Thank you.